Welcome. I am Dr. Eurydice Moore, the sole proprietor of Eurydice, a MBE WBE certified consulting firm. And I am here to share knowledge with you. Knowledge is power. This workshop are for emerging leaders of nonprofit that desire to acquire funding for their nonprofit and don't know how to go about it. You have heard about grants, and some of you have had experiences with finding out that you didn't have the funds to actually hire a grant writer. Well, I have good news for you. Grants have evolved over the years. Grants have an application format now. I have been a grant writer since April 1985. Yes, since April 1985. The first grant I ever written was for $36,000, and it was for a lab program for high school students. I have written many grants through the years. But back in the day, grants was in a narrative format. It was anywhere from 25, 40, 80 pages in length. And it was a tedious process. It required much researching and documentation. But now the beauty of grant is grant has evolved. Funders have put grants online and they have streamlined them and they have simplified them. And grants are just like an application that you complete for a job. So I am here to take you step by step on how to complete a grant application for your nonprofit. I am going to share my screen. Now, I will warn you that this workshop is not long. I am not a long winded person. I believe hit it. I believe keeping things simple, short, sweet, concise, to the point. I never could stand workshops that go on and on and on, and then they talk over your head, and you leave out the workshop the same way you came in. You didn't get anything from it. But I have been teaching since 1985, and my students have gone on and written grants for their nonprofit and acquired them. I have written grants for nonprofits and they have acquired them. I have been blessed to service over 12,000 plus people in acquiring funding for their nonprofit. I have assisted churches, schools, nonprofit cultural center, multimedias, and acquiring over $3 million in funding. I like to keep things simple and to the point. So what I am going to do now is share the screen. All right, here's my screen. Grant application workshop for the nonprofit. This workshop once again for emerging leaders. This is for the CEO, president, executive director, program director, program manager, supervisor, middle management, even staff. If you want to put together a grant writing team, this is for you. Okay, here you have my trademark, my mission, the business Eurydice, is to help people by assisting emerging nonprofit leaders and startups and to be eligible to attain funding for their nonprofit. Okay. I also help people to acquire what is called the 501c3. And the 501c3 is a document that you receive from the Internal Revenue Service that allow you to have various tax exemptions. And I also have a video that talks about, from my discovery, 11 different tax exemptions that nonprofits are eligible to apply for. Here's the key: you have to apply. Now, why did I start talking about the 501c3? Because or as a nonprofit, in order to apply for grant, to be eligible to receive funding from grant, you must have the 501c3. So, my credential: I have over 30 plus years of experience and having assisted churches, schools, and agencies in acquiring over 3 million in resource development funding. I had established Eurydice Moore and Associates in 2004 and served over 12,000 plus clients in distribution of free grant and resource development, um, and 501c3. I recently opened up another business and it focuses on for profits, and that was in 2016. Um, I worked with non for profit for years, for decades. But then the door opened for me to start working with for profit, and I appreciate it. Okay, my journey. We all got a story, we all got a journey. My journey is that I was raised by my great grandmother. I'm a native of Chicago, East Garfield community on the west side of Chicago. I was raised by my great grandmother and my grandmother, and my grandfather was present in the home. And I grew up, excuse me, and I had a learning disability. And when I got my report cards, it reflected U's and F. And then the U's and F turned to E's and G after my great grandma, excuse me, told me, after I informed her I was tired of making bad grades, to go in my room and talk to God. And I did. I was a 10-year-old kid in the fifth grade, and it seemed like all I had coming for me was U's and F. Nothing. And I asked God, I said, God, if you up there, help me to learn. I'm tired of U's and F. See, I would miss a lot of days out of school due to sickness and illnesses. And I was always in and out of doctor offices. And when I would make it back to school, when I left, they would be in chapter one. By the time I made it back to school, they would be in chapter three. Subject matters. And during that time, in the 60s, the classroom had anywhere from 40 to 50 students. I remember the time when before special education was formed, they had a student that was blind in the class, and there was no tutoring program, no homework helpline, there was no help, and the teacher was tired. So after work, hey, they went home. So after praying, God healed me, and those U's and F's turned to E's and G's. Graduated 12th out of a class of 170 students. Attained an associate degree in medical lab technology, a master in human services, a master in urban education, 3 doctorate, biblical study, theology, pastoral counseling. That's what the Lord did. So I am saying that it is not impossible for you to learn how to write grants. You are listening to a person that had a learning disability, that had difficulty in comprehension, retention, analyzing, recalling. I tell you, anybody can learn how to write grants, especially now since it's in an application format. So what we're going to do now is a quiz. Take out a sheet of paper, and I want you to write true or false on different lines. You can buy a living room set with grant money. True or false? You can buy a postage stamp with grant money. True or false? You can pay a plumber with grant money. You can buy a vehicle with grant money. You can travel to another state with grant money. You can purchase airline tickets with grant money. You can renovate a building with grant money. True or false? And the quiz continue. You can buy band-aids with grant money. You can pay employees with grant money. You can pay for a business license with grant money. True or false? All right, let's go over each of these. Guess what? Each of those statements are true. But here's the catch. You got to be familiar with the key element. You can buy a living room set with grant money if you have a housing service. If you have some type of housing program, let's say you have a transitional housing or a shelter or affordable home, then you can purchase. But it has to be in the name of the nonprofit. That's the key. If you purchase anything and it's in your name, you can go to jail. JAIL. Postage stamp. Yes. If you apply for what is called a general operation grant, and what a general support operation grant is like a blanket. You know how you throw a blanket and it cover everything? That's what this grant do. General support. General support. It covers everything, A to Z. It covers every area of the nonprofit. It covers salary, utility, professional services, subcontractor. It covers travel, lodging, airline. It covers conference fees, workshops, attendant. It covers postage stamp, mailing. Okay, this so one thing about the funders, they will let you know what the grant can be used for. So you have to carefully read and see if you can use the grant, if you are a match with the funder. You can, let's say that your nonprofit have property, okay, or you leasing a pipe bus. You can hire a plumber and pay with grant money. Let's say you buy a vehicle, okay? That vehicle better be in the name of the nonprofit, not your name, because if it is in your name, you can go to jail. I know pastors, I know nonprofit leaders that they call that misappropriation of funds. The fund is for the nonprofit, it is not for you. All right. You can use grant money to travel to another state. Let's say you got a conference to attend or a workshop. You could use it. And you could use grant money to purchase and pay for your airline ticket and to renovate a building. But let's say that your nonprofit has a building. The building has to be in a nonprofit name to acquire grant money. You can buy band-aids with grant money. Yes, if your nonprofit has a health service program, let's say you uh, have a health fair every year, you could use the grant money to buy first aid kits, band-aids, brochures, literature. Okay, you could use grant money. Grant money can be used to pay employees. You can pay for a business license with grant money. You will be amazed because a lot of non-for-profit are doing what is called sustainability program, where they are creating businesses to generate revenue to go into the nonprofit. And in those cases, a business license is needed, and you can acquire a grant to pay for the business license. All right, how have grant come about? Grant has come about through taxes. Okay, we pay taxes. We're tax, sale tax, income tax, property tax, tax. Those taxes goes to uh, grant money for education, social services, repair of roads. Okay, grants are made available. Types of grants. Okay, if you're a nonprofit, you're looking for general operation. I mentioned it before. It's like a blanket. It covers everything that the includes salary for a nonprofit. Let's say you have a program, you have a computer lab, and you want grant money to purchase computers or computer furnishing. Capital means funding to purchase building. Okay, that's capital. Seed and startup money to start up your nonprofit, to pay your 501c3, your incorporation, pay someone to do your bylaws. Okay, grants can be acquired from the local, county, state, federal government. Every division of government issue out grants, and you can research it and apply for grant. Businesses businesses issue grants. Foundations and corporations issue out grant. Like Target. Target is a corporation. Ford have a foundation. Walmart have a foundation. So now let's compare grants of yesterday and today. Back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, grants was pretty much narrative, and they would be anywhere from 25, 40, 80 pages. You had to do a lot of research, documentation, and in order to submit the grant. It would take weeks to do the grant. It would take months to do some grant. But now the grants are streamlined, simplified, put in an application format, and can take you anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to complete. Grants have evolved. Okay, let's talk about the grant application. What is a grant? Grant application versus other grant funding history. We're going to go into that. A grant is what is a grant? A grant is free money, money that you do not have to pay back. Now, if someone said they're giving you a grant and you have to pay it back, then it's not a grant, it is a loan. Also, be careful. There are people that are charging fees, like a grant application fee, but if the fee is 50 or less, that's okay. They are charging that fee to handle administrative costs, the cost of paper, the cost of postage and mailing. So they it's simply administrative costs. Okay, but if someone is saying, give us $300, $500 for you to apply for a grant, I suggest you move on and look elsewhere. All right. The grant applications are usually 1 to 4 pages. I have done 1 page grant, 2 page grant, 4 page. The most you will see is up to 14 pages, but the average is 1 to 4 pages. Grants are completed online. They are simplified and they are in a grant application format, in an application format. It usually takes 10 to 20 minutes to complete. The funding that is offered, excuse me, is usually from $100 to $25,000. These are known as micro grants or small grants. Please do not despise small beginning. Do not overlook funders that are issuing $100 grant, $500 grant, $1,000 grant. What you want to do, you do not, you want to submit and you do not want to turn down the funding because you want to develop what is called a funding history. Funders are more apt to give to you, to support you, if they know others have before them. Okay? So you want to go after the name. Someone give you $100, they're a funder. Hey, that's a funder. That's a name. Hey, someone believed in me and gave me a chance. Okay. You be surprised. A lot of people that start up nonprofits and even for profit in the beginning, they don't need a lot of money. They might need money for startup costs, money to open up a bank account, pay a business license, or pay uh, for the incorporation fee, which is usually $50 in some states, 35, some 20, some 25, 40, depending on the state that you in. Okay, these are known as micro grant or small grants. That's the term. That's the reference to them. Now, when you want grants over $25,000, then there's more requirement and more documentation. And then let's say someone say, "Well, Dr. Moore, a 5,000 grant, $5,000 grant is not enough." Well, let's say you submit 20 grant application and 10 funders out of the 20 is willing to give you $5,000. Do the math. Okay, that is $50,000. So never despise small beginning. Now, the one thing about these grant applications, these micro grants, also known as micro grant, there is limited information that are required by some funders. And in some cases, funders will post a short application and they use that as a screen. And if they see you a match, then they will uh, give you a link to click on that'll take you to that actual grant application. If they don't see you a match, they probably won't respond or they'll say sorry, you're not a match. You're not a good fit. Now, some funders issue what is called an eligibility quiz. You are required to take a quiz before completing a grant application. I'm just trying to prepare you all around. Now, the quiz will have various questions, and based on your answer, it determines whether you will be allowed to complete a grant application. So let's say you get through the quiz, and then it says you have completed it successfully. Then a link come up. You click on the link. The link take you to the grant application, and then you begin to fill it out. Or if you did not successfully make it through the grant application eligibility quiz, then it say sorry, you're not a good fit. A lot of funders uh, give other funder information as a suggestion for you to try them, and then some just say sorry, you're not a fit, you're not eligible, or sorry, you are not eligible to apply for a grant with us. Okay. All right. Now, in order to apply for a grant, you must, as a nonprofit, meet some eligibility requirements. All right. You must be incorporated by the Secretary of State, have board members, have bylaws, the 501c3 status, register with the Attorney General office. It depends on the state. Register with the Department of Revenue. There are some things you must have in place before you can approach a funder. Okay. Every state have a Secretary of State where you go and you complete what is called the Articles of Incorporation. You must have a minimum of 3 board members, names, addresses, city, state, zip code. Every nonprofit is required to have bylaws. Bylaws is like, okay, the laws, uh, the proceeding, the policies of the nonprofit, the procedure, how it's ran, how it is operated, and explain the duties of the officers and the board members of the nonprofit. 501c3 status. A lot in order to acquire funding, you must have the 501c3. The 501c3 is good for tax exemption. I have discovered through the years at least 11 different tax exemptions how a nonprofit can benefit. And that 501c3, when people donate 250 or more to your nonprofit, then you can give them a contribution letter, and that contribution letter, they take it to their tax professional and they can get a tax write-off. Now, If you want more information on the different benefits of the 501c3, you can contact me. My contact information is at the end of this workshop. Now, I believe we're going to move forward. The eligibility requirement for grant application funding. All right. First, you had to do the state requirement, okay? The IIS requirement. Now, after you do that, now you can approach a funder. But guess what? They got requirements. They want you to have that 501c3, and they're going to ask you to upload it. They want your organization to have a business email. I suggest Gmail. They want you to have a website. They want you to have what is called a social media presence, which means they want you to have Facebook, um, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Some funders just want Facebook and LinkedIn. You must have a bank account in the nonprofit name. You must have a W-9 form to submit to them. They are now asking for videos, kind of like a pitch, 1 to 3 minutes. They'll let you know. Okay. Now we're ready to talk about the actual grant application format. They ask for your personal information, name, your title with the nonprofit, your telephone number, your email, your personal email, address, city, state, zip code. All right. Grant application format continue. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty. The focus is now from offer you on to the nonprofit. They want the organization general information, which consists of the organization name, organization address, city, state, and zip code, website, social media presence. How long have you been established? The industry services activity provided, previous, current funders, and donation. All right, they want to know where the nonprofit located. Are you a brick and mortar, or are you mobile? They want you to have a social media presence, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. They want to know how long have you been operating as a nonprofit. They ask what type of services. They might have menus that you could click on and make selection. Are you food distribution? Are you a food pan? Are you a food pantry? You provide youth services, family reunification. You rehab, job training, housing services. They want to know, what do you do for the community? Then I have not seen an application where they don't ask, have you been funded or are you currently being funded? Okay, I mentioned that earlier when I talked about not despising small beginning. Okay, when they see a funder, it's easier to get funded when they know that you have been funded by others. Okay, and they will ask for the dollar amount. So they will give you either equivalent or maybe a little less or a little more. But they have confidence with this funder funded them. So I'll give them a shot. Okay, back to the application format. Now, they will ask you, what do you plan to do with the requested funds? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to expand services? You're going to use it to hire. You want professional services. You need subcontractors. What are you going to do with the fund? You implementing a program. You want to be able to include more people. What are you going to do with the fund? They want to know who the contact person is. And then there will be a question, especially with the COVID grant. They want to know how have COVID affected your nonprofit. Did it affect your nonprofit that people wouldn't come out? Donation trickle. Um, how was your nonprofit? You weren't able to connect with vendors to get the item that you need. Those items for your program and services were no longer being shipped. Then they want to know your industry code, or what is known as the NAISC number. This is a number that's given to every occupation, every service and product that is provided in the United States. So all you would do is Google NAISC and then look for the code to come up and put the code in. I have a sample grant, micro grant, a grant application, uh, and I am going to enlarge it so you can see it. Okay. This application, I think, is only 2 pages. Look at that. Real simple. Okay. Get the business info. Okay. The name of the business address. All right. The city. Look at that. Okay. Chicago, Illinois. Does your business require a permit or license? And this was funded. Okay, here you had to upload. Okay, now they asked. Now this grant was a for-profit grant, but guess what? The nonprofit grant application looked just like this too. Okay, in some cases they might have you check yes or no, or have like a question and you answer it in essay format, or they have menus and you just click, you make a selection. So, okay, now when you're a nonprofit, they will ask what is about your gross receipt. They want to know the amount of donations that came into your organization. So they're going to ask what have come into your organization. They ask for a description of your nonprofit, what it is that you do. I'm trying to show you a simple grant application. Okay. Okay. That was a for profit. I just wanted you to see that the playing field has been leveled. Okay. This is a grant by Ross. The maximum they gave was $300. And they also give out gift cards. And Ross is owned by Walmart. A lot of people don't know that. So you put in the funds. This was one of my clients, grant, and it was funded. It was approved. And they ask, see how they ask questions? They have categories. You make selection. You know, you give a little explanation, and you just look at questions. Okay, let's look here. Let's see what this here. All right. All right. Now, okay. Let me return this back to normal. Now, you are expected to upload documents. All right, as a nonprofit, some funders will ask for the articles of incorporation and the 501c3. You rarely have anybody ask for the bylaw. Bank statements, okay? They want to know your bank account number for the nonprofit, not you. The bank routing number of the nonprofit bank account. They want your government ID, driver license, or state ID, passports. Okay. Now, in the event that you decide to go beyond micro grant and pursue grants over 25,000. You want to get into the 50,000, 100,000, so on and so forth. Know that they're going to ask for the article of incorporation, the bylaw, the board list. There's going to be more requirement and more documentation. Many of them will ask for a letter of support. Example, a letter of support from your alderman, your senator, state senator, state representative. Okay, it's gonna be more requirement. They want to know if you're a veteran, you have disability, you're a minority. They want to know your gender, male, female, are you LGBTQ status, and then they ask the question, how do you plan to help the community? In other words, what do you plan to do with the grant money that you're requesting? Do you want to hire people? You want the grant money for general support to cover your organization expenses from salary to utility to mailing and stamp, professional services, general contractor. What do you want the grant money for? You have a program that you want to expand. You want to hire more people. You want to be able to add more clients, cover the cost of adding clients. You need material. You need furnishing. You need computers. What do you plan to do with the grant money? You want to just add a new service to the nonprofit. Let's say that you are youth service. Okay, you do after school you program, you do hotline, homework hotline, tutoring, you got the computer lab, but now you feel the need to do a summer camp. You want to start a new program. What it is that you plan to do with the grant money. Okay. Resources. All right. I recommend, if you don't have an email, to use Gmail. I recommend that if you don't have a bank account, seek out a financial institution, either a credit union or a bank. Website. Okay, if you are in need of a website, I have found these two to be economical. I have referred these to my clients. Social media. Okay, what is your social media? Do you have a Facebook, LinkedIn present, or you got Instagram, Twitter, uh, micro grants? Okay, these are some grants that you could apply for now. After this workshop, there's what is known as the Austin Foundation. Okay, you could be a nonprofit or a for profit and apply. You have an idea for a community project. Walmart, they only accept grant application from nonprofit. They do include churches, religious institution. Okay, grant.gov. Okay, these are federal grants. Now, here are some websites where you could do some grant research and find grants to apply for. The Grant Station, Forefront, Urban Awareness, Chronicle Philanthropy, Philanthropy Today. Uh, Now, whatever city you are located, you can go to your city website and do a search and see if your city has grant opportunity for nonprofit. And you can do so on a state and county level for your nonprofit. Okay, let's say you're in Illinois or Indiana, okay, or Ohio. So you would check on the city, the state, and the county level for grant opportunity for nonprofit and check if you are eligible to apply. A recent uh, resource is SheBoss Talk, SheBossTalk. All right, that's a good source. This young lady have what is known as a tracker, grant tracker, where she have pages and pages of grants that you can complete. All right, now I do workshops monthly, quarterly. I'm putting a lot of the workshop on PayHip and other sources. I have what is called a book, resource development, going to the next level. Let's say you all set up to be a nonprofit. Now you need to get resources, whether it's in kind or monetary resources into your nonprofit. In kind means products. Uh, a business or a funder donate products to you. Uh, Monetary mean cash award. Okay. Here is my contact information. If you have any question about this workshop, you can contact me through Gmail. There's my phone number, my website, my Facebook present, social media platform. Um, we are Minority Owned Business Enterprise, MBE. We are Women Owned Business Enterprise, WBE. We are a certified consulting firm, and this uh been around um October the 2020. My disclosure is the information shared is for educational purposes. Seek counsel where applicable. I am not an attorney or a CPA or tax professional. Okay, okay, this presentation cannot be copied or distributed without the express written permission of Eurydice, the owner or the management team. Thank you. I want to thank you for signing up for this workshop. This workshop, you can do it. You can complete grant application for your nonprofit. I like to recommend that you do anywhere from 2 to 5 grant application per week. Yes, I given you websites that you could go to research grants and find grants. To you find the funders and you read it and see if you are a match, if you are a good fit. Then remember, I told you the grants only take 10 to 20 minutes to complete. They have been streamlined and the grants are in an application format, just like filling out a application for a job. It is not hard, people. Then I have two sample. I showed you two sample grants. So let's get cooking. Let's get moving. I told you the workshop is not long, because I am not a long winded person. I believe in being concise and to the point. So, once again, if you have questions or you need additional help, let's say, well, Dr. Moore, I have a nonprofit, but it doesn't have the 501c3. Well, I am a 501c3 specialist, and I have been doing 501c3 since 2004. And I have helped a lot of people with their nonprofit attaining 501c3 status with the Internal Revenue Service. And I'll be more than uh, eager to help you. I can help you with bylaws. Let's say you like, well, I don't even have a nonprofit. I'm not incorporated. I do incorporation. I do bylaw. I do sales tax exemption. Let's say you want sales tax exemption. I have helped numerous people to attain their sales tax exemption. I also have other workshops and I have books, do it yourself books, okay, that you can purchase. You can go to Amazon and you can do a search. You can put in my name, you really see more books, and all the books that I have written will come to will show up and you can make a selection. Or you can go to McCurr Publishing Company, or if you prefer, you can go to Amazon. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. And if you have any question, please feel free to contact me. Thank you for taking this workshop.